Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to be looking at 1 Kings chapter 3. This is the beginning of the reign of King Solomon. Now, we need to back up briefly to the beginning of this book. At the beginning, we hear that King David is still on the throne, but he's old. And questions are starting to circulate about who's going to be the next king after him. David's second-born son, Adonijah, starts going around and telling people that he's going to be the next king. Well, news about this starts to spread, and people start approaching David and saying, did you really say Adonijah is going to be the next king? In particular, Bathsheba approaches David about this. Now, you probably remember what David did with Bathsheba back in 2 Samuel 11. So Bathsheba approaches David saying, I thought you said my son Solomon was going to be the next king. Why is Adonijah saying that he's going to be the king? Well, David holds true to his word to Bathsheba, and he says that Solomon will be the new king. Of course, Adonijah is not happy about this at all. However, Solomon shows mercy to Adonijah and basically says, if I find him to be a true and trustworthy guy, I won't harm him. Adonijah decides that it's best for him to show respect to the new king. So he does so for King Solomon. Then David dies. Now that Solomon is on the throne, he has this vision of God. And God basically says to Solomon, ask me for whatever you wish. What can I do? Solomon famously asks God for wisdom. And God is so happy with this answer that God gives it to him. God says, you didn't ask for riches, you didn't ask for long life, you didn't ask for your enemies to be killed. Instead, you asked for wisdom. And that's wonderful. So Solomon then became famous for his wisdom. In the second half of this chapter 3, we hear perhaps the most famous case that Solomon helped figure out. This is the story of two women who each had a son, but one of those sons died. So the woman of the son who died tried to steal the other woman's baby. So there was this whole argument about whose baby is it really. And Solomon said, well, cut the baby in half. Each woman can get half. Well, the true mother said that she'd rather the other woman have him than have her son be killed. Solomon said, well, then you're the true mother. Give the boy to her. Solomon is famous for his wisdom. But the thing I want us to pay attention to here is this question when God asked him, what can I do for you? If God asked you that, what would you say? If God basically gave you a blank check, what would you ask for in life? Would you ask for riches? Would you ask for a long life? Would you ask that your problems be taken away? Maybe. Maybe some of us would ask for those things. But Solomon asked for wisdom. He asked to be able to know what to do in these situations. Sometimes when we pray, we ask God to just make our problems go away. And in one sense, that's okay, because we know that we can't handle these on our own. We need God to help us through these things. But we also can ask God for wisdom. Help us to see what's going on, God. Help us to see how you are involved in this. Help us to see how you are at work. Because it might not be clear to us right away. We might be confused about what God is up to. We might not be sure how to rule in the case of Solomon, or what decisions we should make, or what paths we should go down. So, like Solomon, we can ask God for help by giving us wisdom. Solomon, of course, was no perfect king, and we're not perfect either. But we know that God is still at work in us. So when we pray, remember that it's not just about asking God for stuff. Rather, it's about listening to God and asking God for wisdom so that we can see what God is doing in the world. There's your 5-minute Bible study for the day. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.